What's up guys, my name is Dychronic here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 PvP heavies in Destiny 2. Now, don't shoot the messenger on this one, I get it. This video is a bit late. It's like 2 weeks until the new DLC comes out, Black Armory, and you're thinking, why would you make a video about this now? We've been waiting for months on this. I know, I understand it. I did literally the same thing last season with Forsaken. A week before Forsaken came out, I did the exact same video. I'm sorry, it just so happens to be the least high priority, the lowest priority of all the different weapons and PvE and PvP, but I still think that it's a good video, and it's definitely something useful to use while, you're just getting into Black Armory. These weapons are probably still going to be quite useful, even though there are new weapons to get. And honestly, I've done enough work on this. I really wanted to do this video because I didn't want to waste my time. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the preface. You can skip to this time now if you want to start at the top 5. I'm going to talk about how I ranked the videos, why I ranked them the way I did, and all that stuff, and general information about what the weapons are. So the first thing I rank the weapons on is going to be ease of access. So if it's not a Luna's Howl, if it doesn't take 12 years to get, if you're an absolute noob like me, getting certain weapons is going to be very much an issue for a lot of people. So ease of access is very important, as well as the fact getting certain random rolls is also very important. So a legendary weapon, getting the right random rolls is very important. So an easy access to these random rolls, if it's not a raid roll or anything like that, you're going to want to be able to get it multiple times to get the roll you want. So ease of access, very important. Secondly is going to be the kill potential. Split into two kind of subcategories is going to be how new friendly is it, so how easy is it to get a kill, and secondarily is going to be how many kills most likely you're going to be able to get with amount of wall ammo. Both of these are very important. They're not mutually exclusive either, so sometimes a very easy weapon to use also has a very good kill potential, but most of the time, usually something with a higher kill potential usually has a bit more difficulty to use, so it's not as easy. In general, most of this is based on my own opinion of how I've used the weapon, as well as opinions of some of my friends I've conferred with, basic Destiny 2 no-lifers, and in general, I've also gotten like 20,000 PvP kills and 308,000 PvE kills, 1,000 hours in Destiny 2, and I played all of Destiny 1. In general, I feel like I have a decent understanding of how the meta is, so hopefully you've come to respect that. But that being said, there's probably plenty of weapons that still do fantastically, plenty of swords that I'm not going to mention, plenty of alternative grenade launchers I'm not going to mention, so take this with a grain of salt, and of course at the end I'll be mentioning some honorable mentions that are not making it into the top 5, and I can mention these afterwards, so make sure you stay tuned to that. Also have the full spreadsheet that I took into consideration at the end. And don't worry, I'm going to be telling you about Thunderlord. It's going to be talked about at some point in this video. Anyways, thank you for making it through the preface. On screen now you'll see a list of different fluffers. Because of the fact you watched the preface is very important. It's very important to me that you understand why I rank the things the way I did, why I say the things I do. It's just very important to me that I don't have to go through the comments every day and answer the same question over and over. So thank you for watching the preface. You have earned yourself some fluffers, but let's go ahead and get into the video. Coming up at number 5 in the top 5 countdown is going to be the grenade launcher known as Play of the Game / Edge Transit / Terran Wind. Pretty much all 120 RPM grenade launchers, pretty much the same stats all around. By the way, Terran Wind is just the fire version of Edge Transit, literally the exact same model and everything. I actually only found one of them like a few days ago, and the reason why I lumped them all in the same category again is because they're exactly the same, but I'll be referring mostly to Play of the Game because it is pretty much the most common one. Play of the Game is going to be the Crucible drop. The Edge Transit, Terran Wind are going to be random world engram drops, so whichever one you do the most is going to be the most likely easy access that you have. Now what makes these really nice is you get 4 grenades off the wall, making it a very high kill potential when compared to the 2 you get from some rocket launchers. However, rocket launchers are bigger explosions, and they have a lot better handling, making them more usable, very aggressive, make it so you can move much quicker and less likely to kill yourself with it. Overall, the best perks you can get with these things are going to be things that increase the velocity, things that increase the proximity detection. And if you do not have anything with a good roll, the old Play of the Game from before Forsaken has proximity explosion grenades, so make sure you pick that one up if you don't have any new ones. Moving on, let's talk about number 4 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic linear fusion rifle known as the Queenbreaker. Now this used to be called the Queenbreaker's bow, which is why I always got this confused, but it is actually called the Queenbreaker. Now this weapon is a fantastic PvP weapon, has been seeing a lot more use in Gambit ever since the Sleeper nerf, even though Sleeper is still fantastic. It has a lot better aim assistance than the sleeper does, so you can get a lot more crispy headshots. It'll feel a lot more satisfying, and it also gets 5 shots off the wall instead of the sleeper simulant's 4 shots. And lastly, the biggest thing about it is that it blinds enemies that you hit with it. So even if you nail an enemy in the body, it's gonna blind them, disorient them, and make them a lot less able to kill you, making it a lot easier to get those body shot kills. To be completely honest, the only reason it's so far down the list is because it is an exotic, and it is just not good enough to break through that wall of being an exotic. But overall, still a fantastic weapon in almost every way, and my recommendations with it, go with the shorter scope because you can fire faster since you can't one-shot body shot anyways. Coming up at number 3, something that can one-shot headshot supers and one-shot body shot a lot of supers, the Sleeper Simulant Exotic Linear Fusion Rifle, one of the best PvP, probably the best gambit weapon out there for heavies, is an incredible weapon to use and is still fantastic at PvE. This weapon, I've said on so many different lists, I have mentioned so many different times, this weapon is fantastic. If you don't have it, and you don't have Warmind, get Warmind and do this quest. It is definitely worth it. It is fantastic. It takes a long time to get, but it's so great. Now, what makes this weapon so great? Firstly, you can one-shot body shot normal enemies. You can also one-shot body shot a lot of supers in the game. Now, if they have some masterwork, they're probably going to resist most of it, and they're going to be able to survive, but they're going to be very low health, and you can probably finish them off with like a single headshot. Honestly, there's not much more to say about the Sleeper. Most people know it, they understand it, they have it. Sleeper works very well. It gets 4 shots off the wall, making it a very good kill potential, making it so you can get probably like 3 to 4 kills on average if you use the whole heavy ammo, and it is very easy because it has very good aim assistance. Definitely something that is very fierce on the battlefield, very much something that people ought to use a lot more because it's just good. Coming up at number 2 in this top 5 countdown is going to be somewhat of a tie for the 15 RPM rocket launchers, Roar of the Bear and Sleepless. Now, the reason I chose the 15 RPM rocket launchers off the bat instead of the 20s or the 25s is because of the fact that it has a bigger blast radius. It has the biggest, pretty much maximum blast radius in the game, and that makes it very effective and very easy to use when shooting at enemies that jump away from your shots. So, the fact is, we don't need RPMs for rocket launcher in PvP. It's not often that ever matters in PvP, so go with the low fire rate and go with the huge blast radius. Now, on top of that, both Sleepless and Roar of the Bear both have the ability to have very good handling. However, their velocity is a bit kind of handicap. So if you ever get one of these weapons, go for everything that increases the velocity. So just increase the velocity with the Velocity Masterwork, with Rangefinder. Tracking also helps with the velocity, makes it so it actually tracks a little bit, so you know, no matter how slow it is, it'll still go towards the target a little bit more. Now, these 2 rocket launchers can actually be found in 2 different locations. Sleepless is a rocket launcher found in Dreaming City as a random Dreaming City engram. Pretty easy, very common. You can get a lot of Dreaming City drops, doing those every week with Petra and whatnot. The Iron Banner rocket launcher, known as Roar of the Bear, can only be found in Iron Banner and is currently being sold at this very moment by Lord Saladin with the God Roll perks. Firstly, a Velocity Masterwork, secondly, Rangefinder, and thirdly, Tracking Rounds. On top of that, it has boosts to your handling as well as more velocity to the rest of it. It is a God Roll of a rocket launcher, pretty much the best rocket launcher for PvP you can get, because what you look for in a rocket launcher for PvP is going to be blast radius, it's going to be handling, and then finally, as a third thing, is going to be velocity. Now, more people kind of rate velocity higher than handling, but in my opinion, the ability to raise that rocket launcher while you're jumping through the air very, very quickly is more important in my opinion. Now, the only thing I would have to say about these 2 rocket launchers is that Sleepless cannot spawn. There is no possible way it can come with a randomly rolled tracking or rangefinders, making it a lot less effective as a PvP rocket launcher. However, it's still not that bad if you don't really value velocity as much, or if you can play around not having this much velocity. So if you have the opportunity to get the rocket launcher for Iron Banner right now, do so. It is fantastic. Do that bounty. Do get it. It is really good. And finally, coming up as the king of PvP, the king of rocket launchers, the king, Wardcliff Coil himself has to be on this list. It is the most fantastic weapon, regardless of the fact that it's an exotic. It is pretty much the exotic that you want to use, other than Telesto, in PvP. This weapon is a beast. Firstly, you can pretty much kill anything within a 60-degree radius in front of you. You just have to point in that direction, and you get kills. This weapon is so very easy to use. That being said, because it shoots out a volley, also makes it very easy to kill yourself with. Now, obviously, that is something you have to take in consideration, but it is still very easy to kill people. People will come around the corner expecting some shotgun fight or some pulse rifle fight, and then you'll just blast them with Wardcliff and you'll win every time. It's so fantastically easy to use. Secondly, it is great with super shutdown because of the fact that it can kill any super in the game regardless of masterwork, regardless of titan or resilienceness. It can kill every super in the game if you hit most of the shots on the target. This weapon is an incredible damage dealer. Even sometimes sentinel shields, it'll go like around the sentinel shield or explode near the outside and still kill the sentinel. This thing is fantastic. On top of the fact that it can be easy to use and the fact that it does dumb amount of damage dump. You can kill supers like nobody's business. The way I use this weapon is I go with 2 rocket launcher scavenger, which is the maximum. So anytime I grab Wardcliff Coil off the ground when there's a brick on the ground, I get 3 shots. If I kill myself on that last shot, it still drops on my body. I can still go back to it and get 3 more shots. And you can do this as long as you keep getting it to drop on the ground, which makes it incredibly useful. Or you could just camp the heavy, and every time the heavy comes up, if you die once, your teammates protect the heavy brick on the ground, you come back to that, you'll have like 5 rockets per heavy, which is ridiculous. And by the time you use all 5, the heavy will be back and you can just do it again. And I've got to say again, as I highlighted before, controlling the heavy in PvP can often win the game for your team. In competitive, I've seen this a lot. Whoever controls the heavy will control the amount of slaying. So if you can outslay the enemy, oftentimes with that kind of force and that kind of momentum, you can definitely win games with just having the heavy spawn. Which is why you often see people literally just defending the heavy and always being there to defend the heavy and never pushing into spawn. Honestly, there's not much to say about it. If you haven't used it already, you really should use it. If you have used it, you know what I'm talking about. But that's it. That's the top 5. On to the honorable mentions. Gonna go very briefly across these until the final moments. First off, honorable mention, Tractor Cannon. It can shut down supers, making it very effective against Nova Warps, because they have to like rush into you, and then they have to charge a little bit in front of you. Makes it very easy to basically shut them down, and it makes them very flustered, so it's very nice for that. Secondly, as an honorable mention, Black Talon. You can one-shot by shooting the sword shot, and it does take 3 ammo, and you can shoot it 3 times, making it a very surprising weapon to get lots of kills with. Can do a little bit more than rocket launchers, but it's just not enough oomph to give it a spot in the top 5. And lastly, as a honorable mention, the Colony. Now the Colony is one of those weapons I got #1 last time. It's still a very effective weapon for the exact same reason, but I think the fact that people have been using it so often and the fact that you have so much scavenger these days with rocket launchers, it just kind of fell down in the meta and it just hasn't been used as much. So most people see a Colony, they jump through the air, they're not really that concerned, and they have nerfed it very slightly. And the very last thing I want to talk about is Thunderlord. Thunderlord. People just got Thunderlord and they want to know, how is it in Crucible? Everybody's been using it in Crucible. It's not very good. It does 41 damage headshots at pretty decent ranges actually. At 450 kind of auto rifle but with more damage, but it's just not enough to make it. It's not enough time to kill when compared to some of the other weapons. You can only really get like 3 kills per heavy ammo. It does not offer more kill potential. It is not really easier to get kills. And it's just not enough for what it is. The machine guns back in Destiny 1 were a lot more effective, a lot easier to use, a lot better by shooting in the body. It's just one of those weapons where you really wish it had a bit more oomph, or at the very least, you wish it could destroy enemy supers a lot easier. Anyways, that is pretty much it. That's the top 5. Let me know in the comments down below your opinions of what you thought of my top 5, my honorable mentions, weapons that you use a lot that you think I missed, and of course, why. Of course, a lot of these weapons will be duplicates of other weapons I have considered, so make sure you keep this in mind when you are telling me about it. And as the last thing, in the description down below, you can find a link to my original spreadsheet where I showed off all the different things. There's not a lot of data there, but if you want to see all the different weapons and the notes that I have that I showed on screen, you can of course go there. It's my public DPS test, it's my public PvP test. It's going to be all of the special weapons, heavy weapons are all going to be in tabs down there, so you can check it out if you want to go see some of the older stuff. But that's it. That's the video for guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.